So, my bad. I accidentally stopped that last video. I was going to answer a question rather than pause it. It's kind of a pain to pause it. Are you up? You with me now?
Yeah.
Adding that work plane? I dragged it up to about there. If you need to get it in the right position, you can adjust this number manually. All right? Mine happened to snap just about where I want it. So hit OK. All right, so now this work plane cuts through, right? This work plane cuts through those included geometries, okay? Now check this out. Here's what I want to do. There's a special project geometry, all right? Let me see here. Oh, that's what it is. Here, guys. In the 3D model, I want to add work points on this work plane where these lines go through it. Does that make sense? I want to add work points to this work plane. You don't start a sketch to do this. Planes, so work planes are these things we add to the model to be able to use to make sketches, make surfaces, that sort of thing. You can also make these things called work points, which aren't points in a sketch, but they're points on the three-dimensional space. So you can then use those work points to make points in sketches or connect lines in sketches and stuff. Or you can use them in 3D sketches to be endpoints and stuff. So work points are right here. And you add them kind of like you add planes, right? I want to add work points at an intersection between a surface and a line. So wherever the line cuts through the work plane, it should put a point, right? So I thought, this will be the way I can get the point right on the line. Guess what? It's not. But we're still going to use it anyway. So intersection of plane and line. So the plane is this, our flat plane we just made. And then our line is that vertical line right there. And look, it put a work point, hopefully, right on that work plane, right on the line. But again, if you zoom in, I think you'll see it's not right on the line. Yeah, see? It's closer to the line than my last attempt, isn't it? Mine's closer. So we're gonna go with that work point. All right. Well, I think at the end we'll be all set. So anyway, now we're gonna make another one of those work points on the other side. Intersection of plane and surface line. So intersection of this line and now that plane and this line. You get a little X, it previews where it's gonna put it. Now that one, oh man, that one's a little farther off. This is crazy, right? It can't get it. It can't get it exactly, But in the end, we'll be all right. We'll have to make another line. There'll be a little bit redundancy, and then I think if we stitch it together, we'll get it. I think that's the point of the stitch. I think it's very hard sometimes to get surfaces to actually match up when you do the modeling, and I think that's why we have stitch, so that you can take two surfaces and stitch them together, patch them together, stitch them together. Not patch. All right. So now we're going to start a sketch on this top work plane. You ready? Oh, let me show you something. Actually, we can start that sketch. You guys see this here? Once again, look at this. The front of this line we're about to sketch has to go beyond the front of this sketch. All right, so let's go ahead and start a new 2D sketch on that work plane we made. All right, on that work plane we made. Our work points, I can see my work point. There it is, right? That's where we're going to start this line, on that work point. All right, see that work point? Those work points we made, that's where we're going to start these lines. What do you mean? Are you?
Yeah, so you started it.
I started a sketch on that plane we made. All right, started a 2D sketch on that plane we made. No, just a regular 2D sketch. All right, you ready? So now, here's the trick. Holy cow. Where I can't see the line I'm tracing, right? You can't see the line we're tracing. So what we got to figure out is where to draw this line. All right, so let's look at some of the real pictures here. Let's go ahead and look at some of the real pictures. Still playing that in the background. Let me pause that. This is a two-part video. All right, so again, this is the line. Let me get a different view here. One without the headlight on. Yeah, okay, there we go. This one here, this is the line we're drawing, this bottom line. All right, we got the work points at the two ends. Now we got to draw. It's kind of like the drawing we did for this part from the top view, but it's got to go forward farther because this arc, right? This line is farther out than the line on the top of the headlights. Pretty much right below it, but a little farther out. So let me show you what we're going to do. You're going to draw a line. You got to start at that work point we made. Oh, I can't get it. See that? It's not letting me attach to it. What do you think we do? What's that? You got it. Project geometry. You got to project just that work point. Both work points, both sides. You got it. Project geometry. So now we use the 3D model to make those, and now we're projecting them into our sketch. Now we're going to draw our lines here. I don't care what side you start on, top or bottom. You want to connect to that work point. All right. Now, this line has to come farther forward than the top one. Just make it go. It doesn't need to be parallel. Make it go to about there. All right. It doesn't need to be perfect. It should be a little bit farther forward. I'll show you in a second. You can project geometry to do this, but here's the deal. This line right here, this is the front of the bumper. I know from the previous drawing, just about. Right? If you look at the, let me hit escape. Let's look at the side view really quick. All right. So actually, it's not quite. What you can do, you can go into the, you can make a sketch on this plane and put a work point there and project it into this drawing we're in right now. I'm just going to split the difference between the arch and the front of this drawing here. So when I go up to the back to this view, all right, my arc I'm going to make it go about halfway up here. And I'll show you that in a second. So this line you need to extend farther than what this one we can see, farther than the surface above it a bit. All right, and then I'm going to do the same line up top, connecting to that projected point. Make it go, I'm going to have to snap to the one below it. All right, but then again, I'm going to dimension these two lines vertically so I know they're the same size. So I'm going to go here, hit dimension, and this end point to that point, it's hard to see it do that. This is 0.627. I'm going to round it down to 0.62. All right. And then I'm going to go down to the bottom line and do the same dimension. All right, so know that's symmetric. And the final thing is to put an arc. From the two endpoints. And now, remember I said I'm just going to split the difference between the front of the windshield and that vertical axis in this view I'm in. It should basically run now parallel to the other one approximately. And you don't need the geometry projected. So I have one of my sketches. I have one of my sketches. Now I got to do the front view. All right, got to start another 2D sketch on this plane. The YZ plane for me. You got to project geometry. Don't forget this step, guys. This is where you go wrong, okay? You got to project that work point again, that end point in here on both sides. Super important. And we got to project where the curve happens in that new line we just made. And that's a little bit hard to see. That's that point. Okay, let me pause this. Not stop recording, I'll pause it. Hold on a second. All right, so once you've drawn both those views, all right, we've got the top view, the front view. They should line up. We're going to try our intersection curve. Start 3D sketch. And I'll be surprised if it works the first time. I've had issues with this front line connecting all the way across. It looks like it worked this time. So I got that one, intersection curve of the two sketches I just made. I've got this one. Hit OK. Let's see if it did it. It's hard, a little bit hard to see. All right, I'm going to turn off some visibility of stuff here. Front. All right, and I want to turn off the visibility of some of the sketches I just used so I can see what this line looks like. All right, it looks good. It appears to be in the right spot. However, like I said, we know for a fact the end of it is not actually going to connect to this line. See that? The end of it is not going to connect to this vertical line. We're going to have to add another 3D sketch line from that end down to this corner to be able to close this patch once we do the bottom. All right, so the next phase here, I'm going to end this video, but the next phase is going to be to, this one's an easy one. The bottom line of that bumper is just flat. It's just flat. If you go back and look here, this can be just in one single plane. It steps in a little bit on the corner, but it's just nice and flat. So that'll be simple. All right? All right. Talk to you later.